Good day, everyone. Professor Maple here. What does this block? And this witch behind me? Ow! And this poison? And all these mob sounds above me? What do they all have to do and what do they all have in common? Well, they're featured today in this episode of Maple's World. Uh, all right, guys. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you're enjoying your 2019. It's 2019 as of the time this video is out. I haven't even finished editing last episode, but I had a lot of fun doing that, so I hope that comes through. Anyway, uh, going on with today's project, I'm gonna quickly just go over a few things we're gonna do here, but I want to focus mostly on the clay hex up top there. So we've got this hole. I'll explain that hole later, assuming we have time to come back. But more importantly, I'm going to have to make some modifications. So one modification, and again, I'll be doing this later, not right away. And that's always a little disturbing. Like, I need to keep these sounds on because there's mobs leaking out of the farm in this current state. Oh, by the way, I finished putting the slabs down and covering looks like just most of the magma blocks. Looks like there's a couple peeking through here and there. That one's unavoidable. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna have to modify this rotten flesh chamber. We're gonna modify that a little later so that we can keep this farm on a timing circuit perpetually. A couple other modifications I'm going to have to do are making sure to light up the back here a bit better. We've got, again, mobs leaking out, so spider or zombie comes up here. We also need to put a half slab right there so the baby zombies don't just walk out of the farm. That's something I didn't take into account when I designed it, because I didn't have babies spawning. But now that I have had them, that's a thing. Ooh, are we going to be able to oh yes, okay, good. Oh, it's nighttime. Okay, well that's not so bad. This place looks pretty decent at night. It's well lit. It's well lit. Here we are at the clay hex now. Whoop. I'm trying to get used to this third person flying thing. It's not easy. What have we got here? We've got, well, my list included a river, a building, sort of any sign of resources being taken out or removed, and possibly a custom tree. I think that custom tree might be more possible than first thought. We've got maybe not as much room for the clay hills as I was hoping, but it's either I miniaturize the biome or I end up making the biome too big and I start just spending way too much time and resources and getting drained trying to do it. So I figured that's part of why the hexes are the size they are, so I don't get burnt out doing this. So most importantly, and I think I left it off that list, I shouldn't have, but it's included now anyway, so it doesn't matter too much, is I want to be able to get from that jumping platform here over to this hex here and this jumpy platform here. So, and because of the height of the hexes, if I move these up or down, we're either going to not make it to the next hex if I move them down, or if I move them up, if I elevate them, we're going to take fall damage when we come down, which I don't really care to do. I'd rather prevent that if possible, so I have to make sure not so much when I modify these, because there's going to be a fairly flat path. It'll be that oak one and the dark oak one I have to kind of coordinate a little bit, but I have to keep those jump platforms kind of the same height, or else we set ourselves up for damage. So what's going on here? We've got a couple hills. Again, I didn't want to leave the path too flat in such a hilly biome, so we've kind of got this, but we also have around the corner here these cobblestone coming down this way here. basically lay out the stream we're going to put in, the little brook, the river, the childhood Claytime Funville. I'm thinking I might just kind of put like a vegetated area at the end here. Like, look, it's a river, so it'll have vegetation along it because it's a nice, healthy river. Hopefully, it'll have vegetation kind of along it. But I think the biggest concentration is going to be at this end, even though it's not the end you're going to see the most often. Oh, and now it's raining. Oh, okay, whatever. But yeah, at that end, I'm going to put a higher concentration of plants, including that custom tree that I've yet to design. And I've got a couple ideas, but I'm not entirely sure how that's going to go. So we'll see how it ends up. But what we do have is, I'm gonna, I was gonna say I'm gonna use a rocket to get up there, but there we go. Using 2 rockets to get up there. Okay, so, okay, so these little squared out bits here, and I know it's not super big, especially on a hilly area like this. Might have to dig some of this out again, but this is where we're gonna put like an adobe or something like that, some sort of mud house. It might be an adobe, might be something different of my own creation. It might be a blend of styles. I'm not entirely sure. I just know it needs to include clay, and we're gonna do that using that area there. So there's gonna be a building. I also want, and now that I've settled on putting the vegetated area back there at the mouth of the river, I think downstream here we're going to put the bridge kind of up there, so we go up across to that flatter hill there, that little cliff face, and then we can enter the building from the side there, and then it'll have whatever the heck it'll have going on inside there. Now I'm thinking, I'm not entirely sure what kind of purpose this hex will have other than being decorative. And the settlers hexes might be more decorative than not. I know and I rewatched this actually yesterday. I know in like one of the first episode, I think it was, I say I don't want the hexes. One of the first 3 episodes, I don't know. The first 3 episodes I all kind of made at once, so all the footage is kind of jumbled together in my mind here. But I did mention that these hexes would each have a purpose. They'd all be like a thing on those hexes. And I think part of the reason, or part of the issue, is that I've concentrated a lot of different things on a couple of these hexes. Like I've got cactus, cocoa bean, vine farm on one hex, and whatnot. And like all my items are down there. I think because of that, I might start to branch out to decorative hexes. Like this will be decorative for sure, but I'm thinking I might also make it functional somehow. So I'm debating on how to do that. Now that it's mostly designed, because usually I find it easiest to put the function on the hex and then design around it, like we're doing with the mob farm there. But because we're doing this the other way around, I think the designing of the functionality and deciding on what functionality it's going to be, I think that's going to be a bit of a challenge, considering how lofty my plans are for the decorative part of this hex. So we'll see how that goes. Now, not all of this clay is going to stay. It's not going to be as monochrome as it is now. It's not going to be just green here, and we're going to have path blocks probably along here. Oop, I said path blocks. Oop, I could probably do that. There we go. Along here. and I'll have to replace a couple blocks here and there because of that, but that's fine. And then we also have a couple different colors of terracotta, because you know the mesa biomes and in-game you kind of end up with like a strip of different colors as you go up and down the mesa, the Y value in the mesa. So that will probably come into play at some point. I have to decide on which colors to use because I don't have room for all of these. That's 2, 4, 5 other colors, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 blocks worth of height, and so maybe only 1 or 2 of these blocks there will be a band of a different color on. So I know the riverbed will feature some grays and maybe some grayish browns and some foliage, of course, some greens. But aside from that, there's not a whole lot of other places to put color. All right, we are back. And before I turn around, before you see the progress on the hex, I want to apologize because some of the audio went missing on the clips I recorded before. And then I was having a ton of other recording issues. So I ended up not being able to record all the progress that I made on the hex here. But what have we got? What have we got? Oof. Oh, it worked that time. Yes. Okay, good. That means the connection's not great, but somehow it's working anyway. Okay, good. So we've got our pathy path in here. It's mostly done. I want to figure out what's going on back here before I really work on this little patch of grass here. So not much has happened here. The river itself, though, and we're gonna kind of go up the side of the thing here because it's. What was that? Oh, was that? Did that? Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Anyway, so basically the river, and I'm going to outline this because every aesthetic build, especially with no moving parts, needs to tell a story in my mind. So this build is going to tell a geological story. So we've got a story of how kind of the earth in it exists the way it does. So we've got our river here. It's going to start, in theory, kind of off the hex, but in practicality, it's going to start here. And it's going to be as if it's flowing this way. So it's carrying clay onto the grass, and that's why we've got the mycelium to simulate sort of mucky, mudded up clay covered grass. We've got that going on, and it's going to keep carrying stuff, and it's going to hit this riverbed or river bank here. So that's why this is gouged out a bit more erosion has occurred. And then it keeps carrying sediment and things over down here, where we have this little rock pile. Rocks and stones and gravel have been piling up here over time, and that's why we've got that going on. Over here, we've had, once the water kind of hits this, the pressure goes this way, and it has collapsed a bit of granite into the river. And over time, that granite's kind of just solidified into a way where this person's been able to put part of the foundation on their house on it anyway. And that was originally a creeper hole that before I figured out the lighting on this place, I had just the granite to patch it up with, and it turned out pretty nice, and I kept it. So yeah, that's what we've got there. And then we've got more sediment and things being dropped off down at the end here, where presumably the water kind of seeps down into the ground. There's probably some hole blocked by these rocks or something going on down there. So that's a story that's going to tell. And again, some of the more nutrients are kind of being dropped off at the beginning of the river than at the end, at least in this case. Here we have a bridge. Design kind of copied from Exuma Void. He used a design like this in the Winter Wonderland, the snowy Christmas place in Hermitcraft 6, but I don't remember if the supports, the struts were on the underside there. You mostly just see the top side anyway. And I'm not sure if I want to go with the junglewood fences for the edges, or because it kind of matches the rest of the build, even if they kind of blend in a bit too much, I think. Or if we want to go with this really electric green looking glass, which goes with the outside of the hex and a couple things inside the house. So we'll figure that out if I can remember. There might be a poll for it on the video. If not, leave a comment and we'll kind of decide what's going up together. I used the spruce here. As much as I wanted to keep using the jungle wood, I'm kind of using it for crates, and I didn't want the crates to look like the bridge and vice versa. So, and then I wasn't a fan of the ends of these stripped logs, so I put the pressure plates up there. Now up here, whoop, sometimes the redstone in the bridge activates accidentally. Now, oh yeah, the house itself here, we had this sort of slope on the hill, and I wasn't sure what to do with it because you couldn't really do like a partial basement or anything, so I just kind of opened up the one corner of the house, and now they've got a balcony that looks out onto the river, and it's pretty cool. They can have their sody pops out here and relax, see the view of all the clay. And the foundation's a brick. I needed something that contrasted with the hardened clay, and a lot of the other hardened clay colors kind of just blended too much, so I went with that. The house is orange clay mostly, and yes, I do refuse to say terracotta in reference to what it is because it's been clay forever. We've got a little stove and oven here. We've got a sink. We've got a cutting board kind of deal and a table with cups on it. Oh, and another detail we have around the back here is right under the sink. We have this little drain that kind of seeps into the ground and discolors the clay. And yes, the stationary build telling a story once again. Let's see here. We've also got sort of this adobe style wooden post nubbins in the ends here, which I think look really nice. And I like that the jungle wood doesn't really blend with the orange too much. That's kind of nice. Up top here, we've got just like a bed, and I haven't really found a good way to decorate this too much, but this person needed a bed, so they've got a welcome mat, they've got flowers, they need a bed. And that's pretty much it. One thing you'll notice is instead of putting a strip of hardened clay through the hill, I put a strip of granite. That, I kind of put it up to a Twitter poll, and it was like a little mini tournament, and this one against light gray clay, not in the poll itself, but because it kind of broke it up a bit better, didn't blend in as much, which you kind of need if you're only doing one stripe. Like if this thing was tall enough for me to do like 3 or 4 stripes of different colors, then yeah, like gray clay would have been in there with a couple other colors, but because it's only one and we've only got so much room to work with, granite seemed to work better. So that's what we went with. Anyway, I think I'm gonna just leave this for this episode, and we're gonna go back to the mob farm for a little bit. Alright, and we're back at the mob farm. I've fixed up the little holes and stuff up top, but more importantly, we're going to move on to some more redstone-y stuff. So down here is our pit. That's where our timing circuit's going to go. And it's a very specific... Oh, hi, zombie. Where did you come from? It's a very specific timing circuit. Oh, I got a potato from that. Yay. So yeah, the timing circuit's going to go in here. It's kind of a big spot for timing circuit. And you'll see why when I actually show you what's going in there. But for now, what we need to do to feed that timing circuit so that it keeps going as long as we need it to is some hoppers and this dropper. Actually, it could have been like any inventory block, but I chose a dropper specifically here. So what we're going to do is we're going to modify our rotten flesh. Oh, wait, this one is the rotten flesh one, right? I don't want to... Yeah, second one over. Okay, yeah, this is the right spot. So we want that, and we want to take out that. And then so we put one hopper back there, so this double chest is still feeding into the single chest we have right here, still blending in with the other chests because they're all side by side facing the same way. And now we want, and this is going to be kind of tricky to place unless I have, we're going to have this as a temporary block here. So we're going to put our dropper right here. It could face us, that's fine. All right, and we could take this temporary block out again. There we go. And now I need a way back down here. And we need to put in a hopper line. First of all, going there so we get this, so this double chest feeds not only the chest in front there, but also this dropper, which we're not hooking up to redstone. It's just there because it has an inventory. It could, again, be anything. And then we need to, I need another temporary block like that. And put that there. And we'll put the hopper chain feeding into that block. Oops. Into the... Come on. Alright guys, so this is not the timing circuit we're going to use. Surprise. What I want is for the timer to go off every 5 minutes. And so in order to do that, I just figured I could go with the Etho hopper clock. It's so easy. It's already a thing. It's great. But then I was like, I want to kind of use some old mechanics for this. So it takes 5 minutes for an item to decay. And those of you who've been around Minecraft a while will recognize this sort of dropper putting an item onto a pressure plate and activating your redstone until it despawns. 5 minutes later, it turns off. That's an old mechanic that was used in redstone for a while there. Put that back there. But now what I've done is so that, cause like, I kind of want it to be a little showy, and another part of it too is that I kind of want it to, like once that item disappears, it depowers everything, and then what? Alright, so because the way this thing is built, one floor is going to have no water on it, and the next floor is, and then when it activates again, it's going to have water down here and no water up there. I want it to toggle those states instead of just on or off. So instead of just the single pressure plate, I've got a double. And so you'll see now that rotten flesh disappeared. It despawned. And perfect timing, by the way. Oops, and that one reappeared right there. And that toggled the system. So now we still get our update for our observer chain, which is probably not going to be as spaghetti-ish as this. Hopefully not. But yeah, we've got our system got an input coming in from this one, or this one, and it's basically going to just toggle the water on and off for the different floors. And of course, on Maples World, that's built as reasonably low in the world, not as low as it could be, but reasonably low, so that we can optimize the spawns. So of course, when that despawns, another one pops out there. It toggles the. We've got redstone blocks kind of staggered to toggle which one is powering which when. And then so when this one despawns, one pops out there, gives a signal again, and we kind of take our output from, well, actually from the changes in this hopper here, because we can, an observer will, let's try doing that, and then stealing one of these lamps, and you'll see, hopefully, that when we toggle it, the hopper gives an update to the observer, and we get the lamp go off. So we'll get an update every time, and it's not any more than it needs to be because of all the delays and whatnot we've got going on in here. So actually, probably could have left that. Oh well. Anyway, that's what we're building in there. All right, and we are back in the world, and if we take a look here, behind me you can see the mob farm is working perfectly. Except for that it doesn't have a roof yet. That is a bit of a design flaw, but it's not part of the design really. It's just part of the building process. I need more iron to fill up the... And I guess it's my fault for choosing iron blocks, but I need more iron to fill up the rest of the 2 layers of the outer wall there. So that's kind of slow coming. The farm isn't really keeping up with my demand, which, again, I kind of chose that type of farm because I didn't think I would need a whole lot of iron at once, but here we are. So right there you can see I've kind of measured out, those are our last 2 layers going in there, so it should be what, like 5 layers total, 4 or 5, I forget how many there are now, I can count them later. But yeah, it's very hard to work on this because I keep getting attacked every time I go to do so. Even down here, you can see our timing circuit is in, but even down here, the zombies always seem to follow me, and spiders arrive when they're least welcome, and that sort of thing. So basically, at this point, we just need to fill this system up, back it up to, well, let's see, fill that chest, fill this hopper in the middle there, and then start overflowing into that chest. At which point this dropper, the hopper will feed the dropper into the timing circuit, and then that'll be able to toggle itself for the rest of perpetuity. So, or at least until I take more items out of here, but in that case I'll probably just leave it running to do its thing anyway. And if it's backed up enough, it'll have enough to fill that up again on its own anyhow, so that's fine. Now, next episode, I think we're going to finish off the clay hex. That's going to be donezo by the end of next episode. And also we're going to, I'm not sure if we're going to work on this because, again, running low on iron, but might spruce up a few other things in between and around and underneath. So anyway, if you like this video, leave a like, comment if you have something nice to say or constructive to say or something to say, and I'm gonna give you guys one last thing to think about. If a potato makes bone meal, ooh, my vision's going blurry. My vision's going blurry, guys. I've gotta go now. Goodbye.